Hi everyone, Harry here with a cold, and I hope it's nothing more serious than that because we have just learned that the HHS under Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is making really severe cuts in its workforce. They're the latest victim to come under the power saw excess of Elon Musk, but they are getting rid of about 10,000 employees spread across departments. These are departments tasked with especially responding to disease outbreaks, but also approving new drugs, providing insurance for poorest Americans, and more. So they are, in addition to the 10,000 employees who opted to leave the department since Trump took office. That's a big theme we don't cover as much, but it can be either miserable or overbearing or just completely anxious and uncertain in federal agencies these days. And a lot of people are thinking it's time to go and putting their resumes on the street. Of course, they're doing it while a lot of other people do the same. And it's not as easy as it's been previously in Washington to get a job based on your government expertise. Okay, so this is the old story, the kind of miracle work that can be done where they cut a quarter of the workforce, but everything still runs totally on time. It's just a matter of streamlining and eliminating duplication and the like. Kennedy says we're going to eliminate an entire alphabet soup of departments and agencies while preserving their core function. Will it happen? Can it happen? It's going to be opaque to us, of course, if and when there is some kind of health outbreak or health emergency, or when people in poorer parts of the country have terrible health problems. Then and only then will we know. So it's a difficult thing to gauge in that way. And it's not clear to me. It is clear to me that RFK, even if you credit his wacky ideas and want to try to implement them, he's not like some kind of big manager or visionary in terms of figuring out how to take a 50,000 person agency and slice off 40% of it, 20,000 people, and just with a little reorganization and magic dust, all of a sudden, make everything run as it would have. And recall, he ran and he comes into office as a virulent critic of the HHS, which he has called inefficient as a whole. And he notes in particular that chronic disease has increased dramatically as our department has grown. And of course, you hear something like that from the Trump administration. Maybe, maybe not. You just don't really know. But, anyway, this is just the latest. To come under the chainsaw of Elon Musk. There's going to be so many of the others have had lawsuits challenging the action, and their track record is pretty damn good. This one strikes me as less likely to be vulnerable to a lawsuit because, at least to the outside world, what are they doing? Kind of making things more efficient, streamlining. So in other instances, take the Department of Education or USAID, they're obviously just shutting it down. And that's, among other things, not a job for the executive branch. That's a job for Congress. But, streamlining, so they've let off 3,500 people from the FDA, say. That's going to hurt the FDA. 2,400 employees from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. That's 20% of their workforce. That's going to hurt the CDC. But it's less clearly unlawful to me. It can be really stupid policy that will really harm the public health outcomes in this country. And there will be lawsuits just because there are always lawsuits. This is America. Nevertheless, the actual supposedly this will play as a kind of streamlining, readjusting, etc. That's the kind of thing that is within the purview of the executive branch. So it's also created a whole new department where basically the big wigs will sit and talk to each other. And that's the, sort of deal. We know in particular that the CDC is taking a hit. The former CDC director comes out and says, reform should strengthen, not undermine, our ability to protect Americans from health threats. This one more than others is kind of a roll of the dice politically, because if a new COVID comes along or a new outbreak, we've got measles already in the South. We have the possibility of tuberculosis. We have, God help us if it happens, bird flu. I have a Substack or YouTube not long ago with Dr. Kavita Patel, who's really great on this stuff both as a doctor and as a policymaker. And there are real risks, and of course risks eventuate even in well-staffed, organized agencies. Here, if things go awry, it's just going to be natural to blame Kennedy and the HHS, I think, who most people see as a little bit wacky. That said, I see less legal vulnerability to this move than some of the others, which were in effect shutting down agencies or completely firing people without giving them their protections which of course had been passed by Congress, agencies of course which had been created by Congress. And so the strong argument goes, and it's prevailed so far at the district court level, this isn't your job, executive branch. This is a job for Congress, and you just can't arrogate it to yourself. That's not going to be as available in this case. As I say, a lawsuit will follow. A lawsuit always follows, and we'll see what the theories are, and maybe there are things that haven't jumped out at me. But it strikes me as less legally fragile, on the other hand, as maybe really, really idiotic and dangerous. Idiotic and dangerous is not unlawful or unconstitutional, but we'll see what this means. And it'll mean something for the health outcomes of Americans. Talk to you later.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.